Hey y'all, welcome back to episode 3 of Just a Couple of Thoughts, and
Yo,
here's the rundown of our topics for today.
I'm here to tell you why in 2020 and beyond, it's either prenup or bust.
And apparently, international adoptions are giving a 2-year money back guarantee, and parents are giving their kids back, y'all.
I can't wait to hear about that. If your kid's a psychopath, here's the way you can lead them down the right path.
And lastly, if you're in a relationship and you have friends of the opposite sex, realize that homegirl or homie can turn into the home wrecker.
Mm,
So let's get into it.
let's do it.
Hey, 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 hey.
Oh my God.
So we still don't have an intro because someone still hasn't made the music, but
It's
that's
coming.
okay.
It's coming.
It's okay. Y'all gonna be ready when it's popping off, all right? But welcome to this episode. I suppose it's season 3. Welcome to episode 3
We ain't there yet.
of Just a Couple of Thoughts. Thank you for tuning in, and we're about to pop right off with our first topic of the day.
So, once upon a time, there was a basketball player by the name of Steven Jackson who wanted to get married.
Of course, a lot of people.
Yeah, like a lot of people. A lot of men, there's this fallacy going around that men don't want to get married. And I
Mhm.
think there's a lot of men that
Definitely.
want to do that.
For
and,
sure.
And he wanted to do it, right? He wanted to get married. He was dating this young lady for a while. He proposed, and the one thing he asked of her was to sign a prenup.
Okay.
The wedding was like, I don't know, a couple months out.
Mm-hmm.
And she kept delaying. She said she was going to sign it every time he asked her about it. She said she was going to sign it. She's going to sign it.
It's a red flag right there.
Red flags everywhere.
Right.
Now, if I didn't say this already, Steven Jackson was an NBA basketball player. I think at the time he was playing with the Spurs. So the day of the wedding, the prenup still isn't signed.
Oh.
So him and his bachelors, which composed of Mike Bibby and different other players, told him, yo, you can't do this. Right? And essentially, it just came down to the fact that she didn't want to sign it, to the point where she even manipulated the situation where she got her own pastor who believed that not to sign the prenups. I don't know where you find these pastors. And the pastor was trying to persuade Steven Jackson that, let God handle it.
Let God handle the marriage?
So Steven Jackson just walked out. He just left. And he said he went to the party.
He spent how much on this wedding?
Oh, yeah, that's right. He spent over $400,000.
$400,000? What kind of wedding? What is this? Oh, my God.
On this wedding. Remember, he's a millionaire, multi-millionaire.
I know,
and as a millionaire, you want to protect your money.
Right. Definitely. Right? Especially, yeah.
And it just kind of laid out the question, essentially, that is a prenup essential?
Yes.
That's my girl.
I 100% think so. Listen, y'all, a marriage, you sign a contract when you go into a marriage. Like, whatever you say, love is everything, I love you so much, but the marriage is not legal until you sign on that dotted line. Right. So why not add another contract with the prenup? Like, that is a smart business decision. That's not you being pessimistic. That's you being realistic and protecting yourself. And it's not being selfish. It's being smart. 100%, especially if one person is more wealthy than the other and they had this money before. It's not like they grew this together. Like, if you had money before, protect yourself and your money. I 100% prenup, sir.
Definitely. And especially, I mean, look at the tactics that she took.
She's manipulating.
And I missed one thing. During the reception, after he decides to walk out, here she comes crying, saying, I'll sign it. I'll sign the prenup. I'll sign the prenup. Thanks to one of his teammates, his homeboys, kind of warned him that, if a person is under distress when they sign a contract, that contract is invalid.
You can
be voided. It can be thrown out. So she's trying to play this game.
Right.
And now it's just looking like, you are just complete manipulator.
100%.
And in no way, shape, or form should any guy who asks to sign this prenup spend $400,000 on a wedding. I think that's my biggest point.
And you don't want to be married to somebody that treats you like that is willing to manipulate like that.
Yeah.
That's red flags all around. So yes, prenups are essential, and be careful of who you choose to marry, okay? That was a good story.
That was a good story. Hey, real quick. Oh. I am so happy to be... y'all, right now, we are in bed. This is comfortable as just hell. Talking. This is the greatest podcast I've ever done in my life.
Yay. It's only episode 3. Let's keep it going.
Let's keep it going. Oh, I could do this all day.
All right. You had a second topic that you wanted to bring out?
Yo. We had this conversation the other day.
We did.
And I think it kind of spurred from another basketball story, which is the Michael Jordan that documentary that came out. We watched it, and I kind of brought up the topic how I think these guys are psychopaths. People like Michael Jordan. People who are great. People that are great. Yeah. A lot of times you look at the Elon Musk of the world, you look like the Tom Brady. These people that are
Tom
Cruise. Look at what's the golfer? Tiger Woods. A lot of these great people that have accomplished a lot have psychopathic tendencies. Honestly, like they're crazy. Look in their eyes.
Explain that.
Just look in their eyes.
Is it their laser focus on what they want to do?
It's the fact that Tom Brady kisses his son very weird. It's the fact that Tiger Woods looks high as shit. Like you know his story, but it's just that they work on a different level.
And for sure.
So you asked me, I don't know if it was the same day, a couple days later, yo, what would you do if we had a kid and he ended up being a psychopath?
But that's something because you had said that if you notice your child has certain tendencies, then you can steer them in the right direction. Like if Michael Jordan hadn't played basketball, he might have been crazy doing something else. Especially Tom Brady, if he didn't get into football, could he have been a serial killer?
Right.
I don't know.
So you're saying, the question was what would you do if your child showed signs of
being a psychopath?
So my answer to that was essentially focus it on something
that where he could enjoy that's legal.
That's legal. If you take that energy and focus into something that's legal, it can be very highly successful.
She could be a star.
Because usually these people are hyper focused.
Yes.
And they're mad people. They're the same type of people that would,
they will give up everything just to do this one thing. Yeah.
And they just work on a different
maybe not
level.
So great at being social. Remember, people talking about Michael Jordan being an asshole.
Exactly.
He was very
nice.
They
said the same thing about Kobe, rest in peace. But they said the same thing about
I want to win. You don't want to win, get off the bus. I don't want to be associated with you. This is my goal, and I'm only focused on this.
There's a lack of emotion. They could have easily been drowning cats. Instead, they're dunking balls.
Hilarious. So I guess if you can direct them in a way that is productive, that is safe for everybody, and if we need to bring in a psychologist, somebody, but just we need to direct your efforts away from the scary things.
That's not the most thing I'm worried about kids. As long as I want them to have their 10 toes, 10 fingers, brain, healthy, healthy, take care, turning them into a good person. They're a different person.
That's the best thing.
That's the most important love, thing.
Saying? They need love.
And then beat them from time to time.
No, scratch that.
I'm just kidding. All right, what we got next?
Okay, so that actually leads into my first topic of the day. Talking about you want your healthy kids and everything. Of course, that's everyone's dream. So, a big story today and yesterday I saw this YouTube couple. I'd never heard of them until I saw this story. This woman called Micah Stauffer. Remember her name? Okay. She and her husband, they have 4 biological children, and they adopted this baby from China. They adopted this baby in 2017. So they'd had this child. He was 2. And when they adopted him, they knew he had developmental issues. Okay. The Chinese adoption agency thought that he had a brain tumor. Something is wrong, but he has special needs. And this couple's white, just wanted to say, because I feel like usually it's a white couple that wants to adopt outside their race, right?
Of course.
So she even said before this whole journey happened,
want a pet.
Right. This was in 2016. She said, I want to adopt I want to do an international adoption, and not from China. I'm thinking Ethiopia, Uganda.
They're always taking us.
Girl, why? And she even said, I will even, something I want to help a special needs child. So she was going into even though the rest of her biological children, they're healthy, they don't have any special needs, but she said she wanted to help and she could take that on. So she knew going into this, y'all, that this child has special needs. Okay. So they had him, well, I say had, because the story is that they gave him up. And she used the words rehomed, like you use for dogs and pets. Like, oh, it gave him back to the adoption agency. They gave him back, y'all, after 2.5 years. She said, because he was eventually diagnosed with autism. And she said, it's become too much to handle. It's a lot. And we talked to a lot of medical professionals. We gave him a lot of therapy. We tried our best. But you know what? They even said that he needs more than we can give him. First of all, I don't think the medical professionals would tell a family that, but especially a family in this spotlight. She has the means to do this. But basically, she said it was too much. And so she gave him back. She gave this child back like he was an animal.
After how long?
2.5 years. So he was 4. 4 years old, gave him back, and she said no. And this child was nonverbal, so he's autistic, and he has developmental issues. And so she had taught him to sign. So he learned some sign language, and she was trying to say, but it's what he wanted. When we took him back, he was signing like he was happy. So I think he's in a better place, and all that. Like, y'all,
damn,
this woman gave back the child that she adopted, and like she went into she knew that he had special needs, but it was more than she had hoped for or wanted. And y'all, and one of the worst part is that her top viewed videos on her channel was with this child. Like, she monetized those videos. She made money off of him. The video where they went over to China to adopt him was 5.5 million views, all monetized. And she even crowdfunded the adoption, y'all. Like, I don't know how much much it costs to like adopt internationally.
But how much did she get paid off the funding?
I don't know how much she raised, but she asked her audience to give her money to help with the adoption fees and also with therapy fees. Like, she was like, this is a lot. Like, if you guys can help us, like, crowdfunded to help take care of this child. And that's how she got a lot of her audience. So she capitalized off of this poor Chinese baby. And once it didn't fit into her perfect life anymore, y'all. The last post she had
sent him back to Wuhan.
I don't know if it was Wuhan, but she sent him back. She sent him back to China. What do you think about that?
I hope she gave him a face mask.
Baby.
That's messed up. That's really messed up. Like, what? But what do you do? If her
biological child, obviously, like, he's adopted, and so it's like, oh, I feel like I can give him back. But if one of her other biological children was born with autism, you can't give him back. So it's like, how much do you try and think, oh, I just can't handle it, but I have the option, so I'm gonna give him back. I just can't handle it anymore. But the main problem is that she went into it looking for a special needs kid. Like, they had
that's my thing. Why would you go looking?
She was on these adoption boards talking about what's a special need that isn't too bad but is easy enough to deal with. Like, she was like purposely trying to look for a special needs child.
Like, it's a dog.
And then she couldn't handle it and she gave him back. I thought that was so horrible. I've never dealt with a special needs child. I know it's very difficult, probably. Just to give him up like he's a troublesome animal that you just can't deal with anymore. I don't know.
What do you can you divorce a child? I mean, if you're trying. Now, it sounds like to me, I don't know, maybe she ran. Let's give her the benefit of the doubt.
Right? No, I'm sure. Let's say
it was very challenging. It was just over her head. She couldn't handle it.
She had 4 other children.
She had 4 other children, and she did obviously try because he did learn something during his time there, and did she leave him better off? It seems like it.
Right.
Left him than how he came in. You know what I mean? So it's tough because it's a kid, and I get it. But how many of the kids are going to be? I know this sounds.
How much more is this going to traumatize him?
Or how much more is he going to come back with great stories like, yo, I went to America before, like where a lot of those kids didn't, or wherever.
And then they gave me back because they couldn't handle me.
Well, because
one, he was up for adoption anyway, and so they even said like he suffered from neglect,
right? But
just like he had attachment disorder, so he just didn't know, like he had extreme separation anxiety,
right?
Like I said, you can't. So now after 2.5 years, he's 4. He's 4. So now he's had these siblings, he had these parents. Now back in China, now he's already struggling. So now it's like, and my family is gone, and
so what do you say? Don't adopt. What is the lesson learned? I mean, do you not try to adopt? And if you get,
don't go into a situation looking for special needs. You should really be prepared.
If you know you want special needs, you need to have practice.
You need to know exactly what you're doing.
Yeah.
Don't just go into thing like white savior. Sure you have There's a white savior syndrome. Like these, like what is wrong with you?
Right.
No, and she was profiting off of this. So she made money off of this show. That's the part that really gets me. It's like,
yeah, I mean, well, it's been
wrong. But also, I think, as horrible as it is, if she ultimately did not want him, I think it's better that he's not in that household anymore.
And see, that's a catch-22 as well.
Oh, God, but I don't think people can you just give up your child? That's horrible. So I don't know. But
I mean, honestly, if you found out the kid was happy though.
Right.
You went back there and you found out he was happy and he enjoyed his time. He's back in his culture. If you found out, he if he was better off. If he was better off and he's truly happy, we're just looking at it from our perspective of, that's terrible. But
right. But anyone who could do this maybe shouldn't be the mom who can adopt. I hope. And so she got this baby in 2017. In 2018, she's still on these message boards talking about she still wants to adopt from Africa.
No, don't come to Africa now.
Right? Keep your 4 biological kids and just do what you do, okay? Oh my God.
Yeah, man.
So that was kind of sad.
Yeah, that was a little sad, but moving on.
We're doing so good with time. Okay, so the last thing, this could be comical, but I feel like this is definitely something that a lot of couples talk about. So when your partner has friends of the opposite sex, specifically good friends, where they say, I hear you and your friends talk about homegirls all the time, and my girlfriend said, that's the homie, it's the homeboy, he's like a brother. It's like, who is that? No. And so I've always commended you, maybe not commended, but I said, I've been happy that you do not have close girlfriends. Because I'm like, who is she? Because I was questioning, does she like you? Do you like her? Did y'all hook up before?
Yeah, I mean, I know if I have female friends, I probably have had sex with them. Or
excuse me?
No, I talked about this before, but I just I don't quite get it as well, because
having close friends with opposite sex.
It's just tough. I mean, maybe I'm just a hornball or whatever, but if you're a female, if I'm a heterosexual male. So if I make a friend that's a heterosexual female, most likely there's something about her that's attractive. Not even just physical appearance. Her personality I like, or something. Yeah, I'm friends.
Right.
That alone can lead to something else. You know what I mean? Yeah. If that is... And I've never, I have my friends that, they like to keep... But even when I look at that, it's there's been something that's happened here.
Right.
Even with the, oh no, that's just a homegirl. Well, we did something before in the past.
Right. But we're just cool now.
Nah, I don't know about that.
If you're single, cool.
Yeah.
But if you're in a relationship,
this is strictly relationship talk. Right. Yeah, if you're single, please go to Vegas, get a herpy or two. Enjoy life.
Please practice safe sex, okay?
But I just feel like, from that standpoint, I'm never quite, maybe I'm just a hornball or something, and, but yeah, when you have female friends, or when you have friends of the opposite sex that you are attracted to,
it's very rare that there's not at least one side.
That's going to try or something. Right. Especially the better the friend, I feel like the better that means, or the higher they're attracted.
Yes, I'm why wouldn't you want to be with them if you're just best friends?
Yeah. Oh no, we do everything. We talk about everything. What? All right.
Right.
Okay. I mean, if that's you, but maybe we're two lame people that just found each other. Baby, that's what it is.
Perfect.
Perfectly lame.
I take it.
That's the new podcast name. Perfectly lame. I'm leaving this podcast. We're done.
No, only 3 episodes in. Damn. We gotta finish the season at least.
Yeah, we gotta finish the season. We gotta sign a podcast prenup. I want half no matter what.
10 episodes at least.
I'm taking my half of the voice. You take your half of the voice.
So your own voice, you're gonna keep it?
I'm taking my voice.
Okay.
I'm out of here.
We're so silly together.
No, God.
Kidding.
That's the stuff that pisses me off. The
what?
The generic girlfriend boyfriend stuff.
Babe.
calling them babe,
That's
bae or babe. That's out the window in 2020.
Be creative with your pet names. Come on.
Like, get interesting.
Get interesting. Okay.
Nah, I think I've rambled on enough.
You have rambled on, but you actually kept it pretty.
Yeah, I was trying to keep it short too. I
wasn't trying to talk forever today, y'all. Yeah. Alrighty, that's episode 3. That's a wrap. We're just a couple, and these were our thoughts, and we will see y'all not see y'all. We will do this again next week.
Y'all will hear us.
Yes, you will hear us next week.
We really got to figure out this outro.
We got to figure out an outro and an intro.
We're working on it.
We got it. All right. Bye, y'all.
Peace.